the Coachella Valley. The name conjures images of sun-drenched music festivals, pristine golf courses, and desert luxury. It's a California paradise built for escape. But look past the palm trees and infinity pools, and you'll find a chilling darkness. For decades, the most haunting stories in the valley have had nothing to do with celebrity scandals. They're about unsolved murders. These are the cases where the trails didn't just go cold, they vanished into the desert heat, leaving behind shattered families and mysteries that feel impossibly cruel. Killers who disappeared without a trace. Brutal violence that shattered the postcard-perfect dream. These are the cold cases that have mystified police for years and trapped families in a nightmare of unanswered questions. These are the mysterious Coachella Valley cold cases you should know. Our first case takes us back to October 12, 1978, in the ultra-wealthy Vista Las Palmas neighborhood of Palm Springs, an area where Frank Sinatra and Elvis were your neighbors. In a sprawling Mediterranean-style home lived 74-year-old Edward Friendly and his 71-year-old wife, Sophia. They were a power couple. His brother was a top editor at the Washington Post, and she had ties to the massive Hutton family fortune. They were the picture of Palm Springs royalty, living out their golden years in style. That evening, a quiet domestic scene was set. The couple's cook and housekeeper, 67-year-old Frances Williams, was in the kitchen preparing a fish dinner. The table was immaculately set with crystal and silver. Sophia was in a floor-length gown and gold shoes. Her husband Ed wore a jacket. It was a scene of perfect, peaceful routine. But around 7 p.m., that picture was destroyed forever. The killer didn't force his way in. There were no broken locks, no shattered windows. He walked right through the front door, suggesting he was either expected or was let in without a fight. What happened next was a cold, methodical execution. It's believed that after a brief exchange, Sophia Friendly turned to run down a hallway. She was shot in the back of the head and died instantly. In the kitchen, the gunman found Frances Williams. She dropped to her knees before a single point-blank shot ended her life. The fish she had just put in the warming oven would sit there, untouched, until the next day. The last target was Ed Friendly. Ed was hard of hearing and, sitting in another room watching TV, may have had no idea of the horror unfolding in his own home. He had only just turned in his chair when the killer found him. He was shot twice, once in the chest and once in the head. When police arrived, the scene felt less like a robbery and more like a mob hit. Papers were strewn about, and Ed's pockets were turned inside out. Yet his wallet, with $400 cash, was left in plain sight. This clearly wasn't about money. But the killer left two things behind: 4.45 caliber handgun casings and a chilling, symbolic clue. A man's fedora was reportedly placed over Sophia Friendly's face, a message, investigators believed, that she was the primary target. This was the first triple homicide in Palm Springs history, and it sent a shockwave through the city. Detectives initially looked into Ed Friendly's business dealings, but the more they dug, the more the investigation pivoted to Sophia and her complicated, bitter family feud. Sophia had been previously married to Curtis Hutton, a cousin of the famous heiress Barbara Hutton. A massive trust fund was at the center of a legal battle between Sophia and her own children. The timing of the murders was almost unbelievable. Sophia's ex-husband, Curtis, was dying of cancer. According to the trust, if he died before Sophia, she would receive a fortune. If Sophia died first, the money went directly to their children. Just 2 weeks after Sophia was murdered, Curtis Hutton died. The inheritance now belonged to the children. The theory was explosive. A contract killing, hired to settle a family dispute over millions. Investigators even had a person of interest, a man connected to Sophia's son, believed to be a possible hitman. But theories aren't evidence. The gun was never found. No one ever confessed. The trail, once blazing hot with motive, went cold. To this day, the brutal murders at 893 Camino del Sur remain unsolved, a chilling testament to a professional killer who simply vanished. The Friendly murders left a scar on Palm Springs, a case defined by whispers of a family fortune and ice-cold brutality. But decades later, another shadow would fall across the valley. This time, the crime wasn't in a secluded mansion but out in the open, on a public street. A crime just as baffling and far more brazen. We jump forward to November 2nd, 2010, in the Dream Homes neighborhood of Cathedral City. 16-year-old Yanize Mora was having one of the happiest moments of her life. Surrounded by friends and family, she was proudly introducing everyone to her newborn son. It was just after 6 p.m., a typical evening filled with joy and celebration. Then a light-colored car, possibly a PT Cruiser or Chevy HHR, pulled up. The driver, a young Hispanic man, leaned out and asked a single, chilling question. "Where are you from?" Before anyone could process the gang-style challenge, he opened fire. In an instant, celebration turned to slaughter. Bullets tore through the evening air, hitting 6 people. When the car sped away, the devastation was absolute. Yanize Mora, the 16-year-old new mother, lay dying and was pronounced dead at the scene. 20-year-old Augustine Garcia was rushed to the hospital, but he didn't survive. 4 others were wounded, including a 14-year-old girl. In what can only be described as a small miracle, Yanize's infant son, who was also shot, survived. The question, "Where are you from?" immediately pointed investigators toward gang violence. But the victims didn't fit the profile. This was a family get-together, not a gang meeting. Yanize was a teenage mom, not a criminal. Augustine Garcia was just a young man in the wrong place at the wrong time. The attack felt both targeted and terrifyingly random. The investigation began with precious few leads. A vague description of the car and the driver. Detectives interviewed numerous witnesses, but no one got a license plate. No one could positively identify the shooter. The car, a common model, simply melted away into the Southern California landscape. For the families, the nightmare was just beginning. Years later, Yanize's grandmother, Martha Oli, spoke about the unending pain. "It feels like it was yesterday," she said. "You never get over it. Life just becomes bearable." Yanize's son, just 3 months old at the time, endured numerous surgeries and needed therapy for his trauma. Every year, on the anniversary of the shooting, Yanize's family holds a vigil, often right across from the police station. They wear shirts with her face, a silent, powerful message. We want them to know that the family is still here. Please don't forget her. But despite their pleas, the case went cold. The leads dried up. The killer, who wounded 4 people and murdered 2, including a teenage mother holding her baby, simply got away. The Cathedral City Police Department still lists the case as open, waiting for that one phone call, that one pang of conscience that might finally bring justice for Yanize Mora and Augustine Garcia. Sometimes, the entire mystery is about finding the killer, but in other cases, before you can even ask who did it, you have to answer an even more fundamental question. Who was the victim? In the vast, sun-baked desert of the Coachella Valley, some secrets stay buried for decades, waiting for science to give them a name. Solving cold cases is a slow, agonizing process. In Riverside County, a dedicated cold case homicide team is using revolutionary technology to breathe new life into old crimes. One of their biggest hurdles? Cases where the victim is a complete mystery. Take the case of a woman whose remains were found in the Coachella Valley back in 1994. For over 25 years, she was just Jane Doe. Police had no name, no past, and no family to notify. The case was a complete dead end. But decades later, forensic genetic genealogy offered a breakthrough. By using the victim's DNA to build out a family tree, investigators accomplished the impossible. They identified her as Claire Dvorak, while her killer remains at large. Giving Claire back her name was a monumental step, finally ending years of silent waiting for her family. This technology is a game changer, proving that no case is ever truly hopeless. But these tragedies aren't just relics of the past. On the night of November 11th, 2021, 47-year-old Edward Snyder was out for a late walk in his Palm Desert neighborhood, a quiet residential area near a country club. Around 10:30 p.m., the sound of rapid gunfire, as many as 8 shots, one witness reported, shattered the peace. When deputies arrived, they found Edward Snyder dead in the street. Like the other cases, this one was immediately baffling. Snyder was just taking a walk, an ordinary act that ended in his execution. Investigators couldn't find a motive. No suspect was seen, and no description was given. The shooting was fast, brutal, and seemed to come out of nowhere. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department launched a massive investigation, but the killer left almost nothing behind. In March 2022, a billboard was put up along Interstate 10, showing Snyder's face with a desperate plea for information. For his family and neighbors, the crime was a terrifying reminder that violence can strike anywhere. As one neighbor put it, "This is a great neighborhood. A lot of us walk this neighborhood. If that's the case, that's kind of frightening." As of today, no arrests have been made in the murder of Edward Snyder. His case, though recent, has already gone cold, joining the long list of unsolved homicides that haunt the Coachella Valley. From a meticulously planned hit in a Palm Springs mansion to a reckless drive-by in Cathedral City and the lonely murder of a man on a quiet street, the cold cases of the Coachella Valley are a chilling study in contrast. These are stories of lives cut short against a backdrop of sunshine and paradise, representing a debt of justice that has gone unpaid for far too long. For the families of Edward and Sophia Friendly, Yanize Mora, Augustine Garcia, and Edward Snyder, the weight is agonizing. They live with the knowledge that the people responsible for their pain are still out there, but they also live with hope. Hope that a new piece of DNA evidence will finally surface, that an old witness will decide to speak, or that maybe, just maybe, someone watching this holds the missing piece of the puzzle. Law enforcement continues to review these cases, urging the public to come forward with any information, no matter how small. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened. What are your theories on these cases? Do you believe the Friendly murders were a professional hit for an inheritance? Was the Cathedral City shooting a tragic case of mistaken identity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The more we discuss these cases, the greater the chance these victims' memories stay alive, and that one day, justice will finally be served. Thanks for watching. If you want to explore more unsolved mysteries, don't forget to subscribe. Every story deserves to be told, and every victim deserves to be remembered.